A big hello and a warm welcome to all of you amazing and beautiful people out there to my channel, The Twin Flame Union. This is the part 2 of the channeling session where the divine masculine says to the divine feminine that I will come up to your level. I would be worthy of you. So let's get started. And before I get started, I have a small message. I have a small request from all of you. Everyone. I want you to imagine this. I want you to think about these words, okay? First one is electrifying. Then we have fun. Then we have dancing. Dancing like a mad person. Like you don't care even if you're a bad dancer, like a really bad dancer, but you're dancing. So for example, you have to dance, you have to do the robot dance. You have to do, some of us used to do that in school, you know, if you remember those steps. So this is how aliens would dance, ETs would dance. I want you to get into the mood of being very sarcastic, but in not an offensive way, but in a fun way. I want you to look at all the humor around you in your twin flame journey, how your family looks at you sometimes, like as if you're crazy. But you know you're not crazy. You know, some of them are crazy. But you don't mock them. You enjoy it. So this is the energy of this channeling. Electrifying, fun, sense of humor. But at the same time, there is a lot of wisdom. And the moment you start getting bored in this channeling, or if you think that the information download is very heavy for you, it's too much, though I will make sure that it's not like that and you would hardly get that point. But in between, I want you to keep doing the robot dance, if you can do it. I know you must be thinking, what is she making me do? This is a channeling or what? Is this a dance tutorial? But I want you to do this because in this channeling, we have the ETs, and these ETs love to have fun. They love to have fun. In fact, in one of my songs that I have recorded, which I keep talking about, which is called I Am Imperfect, I think I got one line. There is, in the beginning, the soundtrack starts with that, you know, like alien static. Okay? So, there is a lot of fun. These people have a lot of fun. They're very happy. Even though they have seen pain, they don't see the pain as pain. They see humor in that pain. And they don't do it to mock their pain. They don't do it, but because they feel it's too much. It's drama. And sometimes we all get dramatic. So get into the zone of being a person who enjoys, because I would be saying certain serious things, certain heavy things, but at the same time, I want you to have fun with it. Okay?
I'm always high and I don't even try. 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 I'm always high and I don't even try.
So that is the beginning part of that song called I'm Imperfect. And you can see the alien static in that. So this is the mood of this channeling, that you're always high but you don't even try. You're always high and you don't even try. So get into that mood and then listen to this channeling. When we talk about dancing, when I talk about dancing, I'm not talking about the dance that you do with your body. It is the dance you do with your soul. And again, I will talk about Shiva here. Shiva used to dance a lot. Shiva is called the Nataraj in Hindi, which means the god of dancing, lord of dancing, Nataraj, king of dancing actually. Because he used to love to dance. And there are many instances where he just would get up and dance. And in spirituality also, if you see a lot of Sufi people, they dance. And there is a story about Meera also, that Meera. Now, who is Meera? Whenever I talk about gods and goddesses, I talk about saintly people, I talk about these master souls. You can always do a Google search side by side on your laptop or computer, and you can read about them. In fact, about Meera, I also spoke in the series which is about busting the twin flame myths. So I will just tell you a little bit. Meera was born, and as a child, she was taught about spiritual connection with the source. And she found out about Krishna. And as a child, she was praying to Krishna. And she started believing that Krishna is everything for her. Then she got married and she moved into her husband's house. But at that time, her practice with Krishna was still towards Krishna, the love that we have for source. And once again, a lot of divine feminines would relate to it, because a lot of you got connected with the source when you were a child. In fact, you were very into it, very serious about it. But when you started growing up, when your life became more societal, more based on the worldly things, then you lost a bit of touch with the source. Because you were also living your life according to your family, according to how your mother raised you, your grandmother raised you, blah, blah, blah. Now, for Meera, why am I talking about Meera? Because I want to give you the context and how her married life is connected with this. So she started her worldly duties, marriage and this and that. And her family members, the husband side, they were not good to her. Till the end, they even gave her poison. That's the meanness that they showed to her. So she had a great amount of struggle. Her sister-in-law used to create a lot of problem for her. She would actually go to her husband, who was the king, and tell him lies about her, that she's having an affair with someone. There is a man in her room. And there's this one instance. So one day, because the sister-in-law had said all of this, the husband goes to check on Meera. And from the door, they eavesdrop and they listen that she's talking to someone. And she's saying that I love you and I am devoted to you. And when they open the door, suddenly they see that there's no one in the room. And she's sitting in front of the idol of Krishna. So she used to talk to Krishna a lot. And I have also mentioned with people that there are times when you do self-talk. There are times when you talk to angels. There are times when you talk to God. There are times when you talk to your masters, your gurus. It's very normal. In the spiritual journey, this is how it progresses. When your spiritual journey, when your ascension journey progresses, you are very well aware of the presence of masters and guides and angels, and you ask them for guidance and they give you guidance. They always give you guidance. You have to just seek for the help from your guru. So when you're in that moment of love, when you are so blissed out, you want to dance, you want to sing. You may be having hundreds of problems, but you are so connected to the universe, to source, that you listen to one song. In fact, any song will make you feel like you're connected with the source. Any music can make you emotional if it's from the heart. There are sometimes, I actually can add something from my experience here, that there used to be a lot of romantic songs that I used to listen to at one time. But as and when I started going deeper into ascension journey, I don't see any romance between man and woman now. It's always the love between you and source. You can try it out. You will probably relate with it later on. In fact, not just music, everything. When you have those epiphanies, if you have those really profound epiphanies, you actually feel that the source, the universe, everything is communicating with you. You get those signs, you get synchronicities, you get answers, you get like proper answers, sometimes with dates and with time, and with the whole vision also appears in front of you. That's how source loves you. Like, so Meera was married to a king, she was a queen, but when she got higher and higher in the ascension journey, while she was married, and she didn't have a great relationship with her husband, because the husband was always being poisoned by the sister-in-law, by the mother-in-law, by the brother-in-law, by all the people. He was always, his mind was always poisoned that Meera is not a good wife, she's not a good person, look at her love for God, Lord Krishna, Krishna is everything for her. And her mission was also to spread this movement, this bhakti movement that was there in India. And because she was in the ascension journey, she really didn't care how people perceived her. And if she would by chance come across pure souls like who are also in the ascension journey, you always understand the vibe. You get the vibe of people who don't believe you. I get it all the time when I see there are people, they don't believe in whatever I'm saying. You get the vibe. You don't have to talk to them. You can just, like not give them the energy. But if you meet people who are in this journey, who are connected with the source, who believe in faith, who practice faith, it takes 1 second to recognize them. They are literally like your soul family. So she used to recognize them and they would sing and dance in the praise of Krishna. They were all basically devotees who were experiencing bliss. So when you are in the state of bliss, pure joy, when you have the nectar of love, then you don't care if you're a queen or a king. That is the dance I'm talking about. That's why I want you guys, and this line from this song, I'm imperfect. The first stanza starts with, I'm always high and I don't even try. So in 2019, when I was creating this song, I created the whole song, and at first this song was called Divine Feminine Rage. Because I wrote it in 2018, and at that time, towards the beginning of 2018, I was very angry about something, so I had written down a poetry. But obviously in the journey, that whole anger, it got transmuted. In fact, I think I wrote the song much before, but I didn't change the title. The title was the same, Divine Feminine Rage. But it was initially a blame game song. And I wrote to you guys earlier also, I told you guys earlier also that in 2016, again I had written 2 songs, Just Be and The Universe is a Candy Jar. And those 2 songs are already present, and I talk about them, I think, in every channeling, but I always forget to share the link. So today I will share the link and you will check it out. It's called Just Be and The Universe is like a Candy Jar. These 2 links will be in the description box. So whosoever is listening, go and check out the song, and I think you will love it. If you are on the ascension journey, if you are genuinely on the ascension journey, then you will love it. Otherwise, you will think it's some kind of spoken word poetry rap, or, it's probably just music. But it's completely lyrical, because earlier it was a poetry, and I remember I had performed one of the poetry in Shivananda Ashram, which is in Kerala. So if you ever travel to India, you would know that there are various places like Kerala, Goa, Manali, all these places where most travelers go and they spend their time. So there are various ashrams over there. So there was this ashram where I had shared this poetry. And why am I sharing this is because even in my own ascension journey, for a long time, for quite some time, many people thought I was a fool or I was an idiot. And I have lost my mind because I'm not, focused about doing a corporate job or, whatever I was doing some really cool things as per the people, but I was not happy in those things. In the eyes of other people, you could be doing really great things, but in your own eyes, and you know the truth, you know your own truth, if you're not happy, then you're not happy. So when I started working on my ascension journey, even if then I was doing my job or my chores or my core profile, whatever I was doing, I kept doing all that and it didn't bother me anymore. But at one time, my work, everything used to bother me a lot because I did not have that harmony, that balance or that acceptance. So I was doing, I started doing fine after the ascension journey became strong and strong. In 2018 also, I remember going away for a silent retreat for 25 days. So for 25 days, I didn't talk to anyone, that type of a retreat. I just kept meditating every day about 12 to 14 hours. In between, I remember I got one day off because the ashram wanted to clean up or something had happened. And I remember, going out and visiting the city. And that break was also completely spontaneous, so I had to accept it. So there was only 1 day gap in between. One evening, in fact, not even the whole day. It was like morning to evening, and the next morning after getting up, I had to be back. So nevertheless, coming back to Meera and coming back to this high, what is this high all about? Now Shiva and Parvati, they used to have this conversation. I think I had told this, in part 1. Part 1, I just told you guys that Shiva used to tell Parvati that you can't live with a guy like me. Or rather, he was also testing her. He was also confused that will a princess, such a beautiful princess, daughter of Himalaya, and she says she's Sati reborn, how will she live with a guy like me? Look at me, I cannot afford her, I cannot pamper her, I cannot give her the life she's received so far. How will she live with me? Where will she stay? What will she do? So he used to test her. And if you know about Shiva, Shiva is connected to cannabis. Very deeply connected to cannabis. And there are many songs and there are many stories about Shiva and cannabis. Even in the Vedas, because see, in the modern modern allopathic medicine, you will only see tablets and pills. And these tablets and pills are the biggest cause of all the problems on planet Earth. All the mental disorders are a result of this. But if you study the Vedas, and Vedas is the purest of Sanatan Dharam. Even Hinduism, the word Hindu is a Urdu word. So it was earlier called Sanatan Dharam, which was meant for all, open for all. To become a Hindu, anyone can be a Hindu. Anyone can come into this concept. It was a way of life. So Vedas was the thing that they used to recommend and refer and also study. All children now we have schooling system and this and that. Earlier, everyone used to study the 4 Vedas, and the 5th Veda is Mahabharata, the epic. And obviously Ramayana and Mahabharata is the, one of the most important epics that everyone had to study. So this was this kind of study children used to get. Just imagine. In the Vedas, it is mentioned that cannabis is a king of all herbs and it's a miraculous herb. So a lot of people in the ascension journey use cannabis. It's not meant for fun and time pass. It's not meant to be used as a, substitute for intoxication or getting high. So Shiva would tell Parvati that I will not leave cannabis. And this is also one of the things he says to her when she approaches him, that I cannot leave this. I can leave anything, but I cannot leave getting high on cannabis or consuming cannabis. There are many stories where it is said that he used to chew the leaves of marijuana. Then there are some stories, there are some very, very nice songs actually where they have this conversation where he speaks about the fact that he basically rubs this marijuana leaves and then he consumes that, smokes it or drinks it up. So there are many people in this journey. I would say that you should not consume any chemical drugs. If you are a divine masculine or a feminine, stay with the herbs, stay with the herbal things. If you want to experience anything, you have the psilocybin cubensis, which is magic mushrooms. Don't go for any powders. Don't go for these allopathic medicines. They are the drugs. They are the actual drugs. But what nature has to offer, be it ayahuasca, be it psilocybin, be it marijuana, all of these are herbal things. And there are many mentions of these. Now in your food also you could include mushrooms, a lot of mushrooms. You can have reishi mushroom. Reishi mushroom is called the mushroom of immortality. So you can consume, you can drink the tea of immortality, as how they say it. I consume it regularly. In fact, I went and plucked it with my own hands, and very regularly I drink the immortality tea. I love to use this term actually because it sounds very interesting, very fancy. So nevertheless, coming to this energetic transfer, this upgrade. This dance of the soul is very important. So Meera, being a queen, she used to dance on the streets. She would see people like her friends, all those in the ascension journey, they would start singing, chanting, dancing. She would play her musical instrument. They would play the harmonium. They would all do bhajan and kirtan and whatnot. And this doesn't mean you have to be a monk, or this doesn't, you can actually have a very, good time dancing just under a tree, dancing with the friends. It's like you can dance while you're on the cycle. You're cycling and you're enjoying the music, or you're enjoying the connection. So the soul is dancing basically. And this divine masculine is actually telling you all. So the reason I told you about Shiva, about Meera, and about what I experienced is not because I'm just enjoying this talk. It's because the DM, and everyone should understand what is this soul dance. This DM is telling this to the world. This is the message of this channeling. That how Meera used to dance, how all the sages used to dance. I also dance like this. I also dance like that. And I know by experience. And his dance actually started after he saw the divine feminine. After he recognized the feminine. Because he felt the surge of pure love. Abstract love. This is a love, and I told you he's a wise DM. He's not the one who, because a lot of us are working with DMs who are going through the journey. In fact, it's because the feminines are going through this journey. This one, they are very solid because they have been in practice since childhood. Now, if the coming generation, if we all ascend, we all work on ascension, then what are we going to teach to others, especially other children? We will put them on the same track, right? Because we would know by experience what this feeling can do. Now, in the ascension journey, you all must know about these things. Like what are drugs? What are herbs? What is processed food? What is raw food? What is cooked food? What is homemade food? What you're giving to your gut, because the gut is the body organ that runs the whole machinery called human anatomy. And this is the thing that the reptilians have played with most. They have on purpose given you horrible things to put in your gut so that your gut cannot receive the right signals and they cannot communicate with the third eye. When you start meditation, when you start deep meditation, when you start clearing your trauma, when you start healing, automatically, this happens on an automatic basis. Even it happened with me also. It will automatically happen that you will start eating healthier food, better food, fresh food. You will not like to eat stale food. It's okay. You can on and off eat something heavy, something this, something that. It's okay. But it's not a regular thing. It's not like you don't have control on it. You would drink a lot of water. You would drink a lot of vitamin C. You would not have processed drinks like you have all these juices. Some of the things that are very bad for the gut are alcohol, nicotine. These are the things that are bad for the gut. Yeah, but if it is a tobacco, which is a herbal tobacco, which is pure tobacco without any mixture, without anything, that's also okay. I have seen many masters, many seers and masters who used to smoke chillum. Very common. It was very common. They used to have a chillum. So there is nothing wrong in these things, but there is very less information on the planet about it. So all the people who start talking about these things, either they have not read the Vedas or they are not really true devotees. Or they just like to spread negativity because, pointing fingers at other people, it makes them look superior in their own eyes. So they want to say this and that, but let me tell you from my perspective on this channeling, this is also an element that the ETs have asked me to cover. They have asked me to tell people that these are the things you must take care of your gut, because your gut is the connection to the brain, to the mind. Okay, and that's why we say I have a gut feeling about this, I have a strong feeling about this. Gut means your intuition is your gut. So let's all dance like Meera, let's all dance like the seers, let's all dance like all of those people who drank the nectar of true love. Let's all dance, let's all move, let's all enjoy this energy, this love, this one love. You know, like how poets, you know, they talk about the source. There used to be another very great seer, great poet, great seer in India called Kabir. Kabir's music is amazing. You can, like, such amazing music. You listen to his music, listen to his songs that he wrote himself. So he used to write a lot. He used to write poetry, he used to write songs. Very profound music, very profound lyrics, very profound songs. They can put you into real perspective. And there was a king called Ibrahim who served Kabir. And Kabir was a person who was like like we have silversmiths, we have goldsmiths, we also have the people who work with ironsmith. They make normal objects, they make household objects. So not very rich and very lavish, very simple, very basic lifestyle Kabir had. Very basic lifestyle. He had no religion, he followed no religion. So in this channeling, the ETs, this divine masculine who is channeling the ETs and they are communicating with me on this, they are also going to talk about caste, creed, color, because love is beyond all this. Love is beyond caste, creed, color, skin, race. None of this matters. Okay, none of this matters. Or whatever matters is only one love. Singularity. That's it. You have to be authentic, you have to be real, you have to be true to your own self, because only when you are true from your own experience, from your own understanding, after faith, after surrender, you will get illumination, then you will get radiance. Even though there is a standstill in between for some people, that standstill should not be seen as a standstill. It should be seen like, okay, it's my time to be patient. It's my time, you know, patience is not like you have to be patient. Patience is like you let go, you forget about it. So forget about this whole concept of union, first of all, the romantic union. And these are his words. Can you imagine the DM? And the DM is saying, I already love you. So what is this whole, you know, meaning of that I have to come to you, I have to express, although he is ready for the offer, but you know, he is just in a happy mood. So he's saying, in my heart, I already love you. You are the one for me. I have already decided that. There's no doubt in my mind for that. So I will end this part here because I want, to do it one by one. And I will continue this in part 3 with more information, with more energy, and with more of the talks that the Divine Masculine and the ETs will do. And yes, one of the ET is saying some really nice things to you all, that you are their, cute baby loves. They love you like baby loves. All right. So one love and peace out.